So Scottie is a 4-time elite coach. Is that right, Scottie? 4 times?
That's correct.
It's amazing. 4-time elite coach, former top 10 coach, current member of the coach advisory board. There's only 7 coaches in the entire network that are part of the coach advisory board, and Scottie is one of them. He's a member of the Millionaire Club, and just for time's sake, I'll just cut it off there because there's a lot of accolades that go along with Scottie. But he's definitely a guy that's been around the block, and he's really, really been able to help a lot of people as well. So I'm excited to have him on the call here. So what we're going to do today, guys, I'll start off and ask Scottie a couple of questions in the beginning. Well, what I'd really love this to be is maybe a platform where you guys can ask some questions to Scottie. He'll be able to do that. So the way that I'd like you guys to be able to ask your questions is utilize the chat here on the Zoom link. Just post up your question in the chat, and as Scottie's answering questions, I'll try and moderate those and pitch your questions to Scottie at that point in time. So good deal. Start things off, I guess. What I'd like to do, Scottie, is just, we talked kind of about where you are now, and kind of some of the accomplishments you've been able to achieve. But what I would really like to do is maybe ask you, about the journey. It didn't always start there, right? You didn't start off just being this highly successful coach. I'd like for you to maybe paint that picture of where you came from and the journey that you went on to get where you're at now.
Awesome. So I'll try to do this as fast as I can because I get that one question, I could take up the whole hour. So I'll keep it short for you guys. I think it's important to know where somebody came from a little bit because oftentimes you're going to find yourself comparing your path with somebody else's, and then you get so focused on everybody else that you don't focus on what's needed, which is your personal growth, your own transformation, your own ability to connect with people and build a tribe of people like you. So I feel one thing I want you guys to know from the very beginning is that, I had what I would call training in that prior to Beachbody. I was a little out of practice, but I was a missionary for my church. So I spent 2 years doing hard things like speaking another language, being sick in the middle of the street in South America, knocking on doors, seeing people get shot, all kinds of crazy stuff, getting robbed on buses. And so, but what I did every day was knock on doors, which is we get to do that, but we get to do it so easy the way we do it. So that's my mindset. We get to do that on Facebook from the comfort of your own house, right? So I had what we could call that training before Beachbody, that where I learned to connect with somebody immediately before they shut the door so that they could let me in and I could share a message with them. And so that's what we do as Beachbody coaches. We have to be able to ask the right questions and connect with somebody so they open up and let us ask them a question. So that's how I started. One thing I want you to know about me is I'm somebody, I made the decision to keep my commitments to my commitments. Okay? So that's something I think I want you guys to all write down. Like right now, my kids got rags on their heads with the flu, and we are I told Joe I might have to run out of this room. I'm shivering right now, but I committed to being on this call, and I knew there was going to be quite a few people here. So I'm somebody that always shows up. If I make a commitment to something, I show up because I want to be able to look at my mirror and say, did you do what you said you were going to do? So that's something about me and my mindset. Before Beachbody, I found out about P90X from a neighbor. And he was just this really fit guy. He introduced it to me. He actually invited me to go to the gym with him. He trained the high school football team. And he said, you can come work out with me at the gym. And I was like, that'd be awesome. Let's do it. And then he told me that they go at 6 o'clock, and I had to be to work every day at 5. So I said, dude, is there anything I could do at home? Because I leave for work. I'm at work at 5 and I get home at 5. What could I do? And so he said, you should try that PX90 thing. You guys have heard it said like that, right? Do that PX90. So I did P90X, and just part of who I am, I kept my commitment to the commitment, right? I decided I was going to do it. I did it in 90 days. I went from 187 to 145. Followed the meal plan, 100%. Got abs for the first time in my life while working 12 hours a day and raising my daughters at night by myself while my wife was at work. So I fell in love with that. And now here's the other part of the story I want you guys to understand is I was this guy, I did not plan on working 12 hours a day and every Saturday. That was not my life plan. I also didn't plan to send my wife to work at the Hilton Garden Inn to work the front desk. That wasn't part of the life plan, but we were in that situation and had been for 5 years. So prior to even doing P90X, I was always trying to figure it out, like figure out how to change our situation. I remember one time writing out how to have $1 million, like $1 million by the time I retire. Like how, like I calculated like extra payments to my mortgage, raises, possible raises, inflation. Like I would try to write it all out and it would never make sense at the job I was at. So I reached out to the bishop, the leader of my church, who owns a hotel in 17 gas stations, and he's also the CEO of another network marketing company. I did not know that at the time. And I just asked him, like, hey, what is that? Do you know some things I could do? You know, he asked what I was excited about or whatever. And he gave me some ideas. There was all the brick and mortar stuff, right? Location, we need about this much money, because we were talking like franchises. And it was just too scary for me to invest money I didn't have when I was already stressed out about paying my own mortgage. So I never really did anything with it, but I was always looking. I tried making signs, like custom-made signs, because at one point I was the programmer for the laser that cuts metal at work. So I designed signs and I sold them on Facebook. I created a like page. This is prior to Beachbody. And I found I would work like 30 hours by the time I bought the metal, it cut the sign, and spent time talking to people about what they wanted. I would make like 0.0005 cents per hour for my sign that I made them, because I wanted to give them a good deal, right? on a sign. So I was looking for something, and then one day, one of my friends from my mission's like, dude, you talk about that P90X on your Facebook every day. Like, you need to get paid to talk about P90X. And I was like, hey, that's a good idea. And the funny thing is, I wrote some men's health magazines, and was like trying to figure out if there was some way that I could write articles or something, right? And obviously I didn't hear back from any of them. And then I searched online how I could make money with like Beachbody P90X, and that's where I found the coaching opportunity. Then I started jumping into Facebook groups, and here's the thing I want you guys all to know. I had about 30 people try to recruit me with scripts. Now I know scripts are helpful, but they were like, no one asked me what I needed. They all just said, I'm going to help you do this and that, and let's do a call with my upline. Let's do a 3-way call. I'm like, what the heck are you guys even talking about? Someone just tell me like how Beachbody pays people, so I can like figure out if this is something I'm willing to put my time into. And then there was this one girl that I reached out to when I was at work. I looked up a video, found it, and it was Lindsay Matwayne. And here's the thing that Lindsay did. She called me. And she asked me all about it. So we had a conversation. Joe, this thing's echoing back like really bad on me right now. Could you mute everybody real quick, Joe? And then I'll unmute myself.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get that done. If you guys aren't muted, real quick, mute yourself. I'll try and get somebody else. Okay, that sounds a little better. So she invited me to be a coach, and I kindly declined her, told her no, I'm just going to keep helping people with P90X anyway. And, you know, I continue doing that. And I want you guys to understand, this is prior to becoming a coach, right? I told her no. I started a blog too. You know, I was like, I'm going to just start talking about this. People are asking me about the same questions about what I'm eating. I'm going to start blogging about it. So I don't have to answer the same question. I can just send them a link. Hey, here's what I ate, you know? So I started blogging and talking about it. And I made a transformation video. And then the day came, you know, if you heard my national wake up call, called Face Your Grizzly, is what I named it. If you haven't watched it, it's on my YouTube channel. But I'll skip past that and just tell you guys that it was April 11th was the day that I signed up as a coach, 2011. And you know, one of the accolades that I'm most proud of that got skipped, so no offense, Joe, is my Success Club 10 for 60 months in a row. That's the one goal I've never missed in my career. I've missed a ton of goals. I've gone for 15-star diamond about 13,050 times and fallen short every time. I just got off a call working with some diamonds, working on that goal again. But that's the one goal I've never missed was Success Club 10 that I set for myself. And it's because the day I signed up, you know, I was worried about my bills. It was 18 days after my daughter Ellie was born. And that's my third daughter, by the way. And we're in that situation. I don't know if you guys I'm going to just ask you, have you ever like been so exhausted or tired or stressed out that you feel like the world spins around you?
Like you got this weight on your chest and you feel out of control and it's like scary. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like that. I felt that like times 100. Like I was already feeling that every night, where to the point I couldn't sleep, even though I was tired. But that day it was so intense that fear that I had that was holding me back from becoming a coach. It wasn't anything that Lindsay was doing with her invites. It wasn't anything about the company. It was my fear of, do I really have enough time to do this? I'm a little bit awkward and shy in person. Could I really coach people like how Lindsay got on the phone with me? Could I do that with other people? And all those things were holding me back. And that day, my fear of not knowing how to take care of my family. Do I send my wife back? Do we pay extra for daycare? Now that we have 3 kids, what do we do? That fear was greater, and that's the day that I became a coach. And I want you guys to know I had no internet in my house. I'm one of those guys that didn't get Shakeology on the day I signed up because all I had was $40 after I sold some Xbox games. And I didn't have internet, and I went to my neighbor's house 3 houses down here, and I did my getting started right call with Lindsay and talked about my goals. And, I told her I need to bring my wife home from work. And she asked me, what is that going to take? Like financially, what is that? And I said, well, she makes like $12,000 a year working the front desk. And, we pay about $2,000 for the babysitter. So like $10,000 would be like life-changing for us. Then she doesn't have to work anymore. And still at that point, I was willing to work the 12 hours a day on Saturdays. I just didn't want her at work because we never saw each other. We're raising our kids separately. And so she told me, I can't promise you $10,000, but I promise that your income will be a direct reflection of the number of lives that you change. So that day I said, that's it. I'm going to change as many lives as I can. I want you guys to know I did not even know what a multi-level marketing company was. I thought I had to go out and sell like 300 P90Xs or Shakeologies to make my $10,000. I thought I had to like do that. So when I told her, like, give me a number that I got to aim for, and she told me Success Club 10. And I was like, 10? That's easy, just 10 people. I thought I had to do like 30 people a month, to be able to make that $10,000. So I made that decision to do Success Club 10 every month. And the other thing, and I know some of you guys may be feeling like this, is that week we were having that conversation, they just barely got back from the Success Club cruise on the Oasis of the Seas. Like you guys saw a bunch of coaches just get back from right now. And I told her how mad I was that I had these awesome P90X results and I was blogging and helping people, and they were on that cruise, and I was sitting in my cubicle worried about life. And so she told me, you need to hit Success Club 10 every single month. The qualifications that year was you had to have 9 months out of 12 and you would go on the trip. So remember, I signed up on April 11th. So I had exactly 8.5 months to get 9 months of Success Club 10, like she told me I needed to do to be able to achieve that goal. So that was the commitment. I was going to bring my wife home, and I was going to then be able to take her on that trip when she left her job. So I told you I'd go forever.
No, that's great.
That's how it goes. That's my mindset as I got started.
Oh, perfect. So we got a question here from Melissa, and the question is like, how do you choose what you're like? How do you know how you're gonna brand your business?
Guess it.
Did I cut out?
Yeah, I cut out.
Sorry about that, man.
Sorry, I was like, I'm gonna guess.
In the office. So branding, like how do you know how to brand yourself? That's a question from Melissa.
I think that's a great question. And I think a lot of people miss what personal development's all about. Personal development is figuring out who you are, like what you believe in, what your values are, who you want to become, what do you want to do with your life. Once you figure out that, and you already have the interests that you like, combine that together. I think to really brand yourself, you have to understand who you are, like why you're here, what is it that excites you about life, and once you figure that out, make that it. Like I suck at a lot of things Beachbody, and I openly will say that. Like I'm not very organized. I'm oftentimes I'm not the best leader as far as it goes accountability wise. But like I love, like what I found that I loved, and it was prior to Beachbody that I rediscovered as I entered Beachbody, that when I was growing myself and learning and figure out who I was and sharing that with people, I was the most happy. Right. So I looked at my life, like I fell into, cocaine addiction when I lived in Utah playing music before I met my wife. Prior to that, I was a missionary for my church. I was afraid to share that because I didn't want to be judged about that. But as I looked at my life, the happiest time of my life was when I was doing the hardest thing, when I was in another country away from my family, learning, studying, and sharing with other people. So for me, that's why you see me with 1,200 YouTube videos, because I love to learn, grow, and share that with other people. So that's how I figured out what my brand is, right? Is that person that is growing and encouraging other people to grow. And I don't care if somebody, like I'll tell people in my videos, I don't care if you don't want to join my team or be a part of Beachbody or not, but I want you to find out what you love and go after it.
Good. I love it. So here's another question for you. I think this is important. Staying consistent, right? You mentioned earlier, making commitments to your commitments, right? Like, you're talking to us about kind of the journey you went on, all the hours you spent taking care of your kids. How do you get through the tough times and stay consistent on a daily basis? What would you recommend for these guys?
This one's simple, but my simple answer has like 5 minutes with it tied to it. It's I know what my purpose is. Aside from staying true to your commitments, I know what my purpose is. And why a lot of people quit? It's because they're selfish, and it's just about them. They don't see a bigger picture of what they're doing. Like I'm Joe. I'm gonna call it out right here. There's only one thing in Beachbody that gets me so upset. I guess it would be in anything in life. When somebody trusts in you to share their struggles, and you say, "Come join my team. We're gonna do this together." And they join your team. Maybe you're a brand new emerald or new diamond. And life gets hard, and you just leave them. You just quit. So I feel people quit in that aspect. And by quit, I mean don't stay disciplined, because maybe they don't completely quit, but they quit the activity. They quit trying to learn and grow their skills. I believe it's because they're being selfish in the fact that it's just about them. It's not about the people that they're serving and helping. And when you don't have that type of pride, and when you don't see that bigger picture, when you have those obstacles come into your life, they're going to knock you down. You're not going to be able to get up. If you have a purpose that's strong enough, it's going to pull you through anything. It's going to pull you through, so many different things. Like sometimes I think it's important to I shattered my collarbone in the past 5 years. I shattered my collarbone. My aunt passed away just recently. My sister, just to share you some that everybody goes through problems. Like my sister's husband, last Valentine's, not this one before, committed suicide, and I only have 2 little sisters. So family goes through that. My other sister is getting home from prison today for drug use. And, so sometimes I wonder if I'm to blame for that. But as I learned through personal development, I know that, everybody makes their own choices. So we all go through struggles like that. But it's important that you have something strong enough to pull you through. And what I've found is that, when things are the hardest, when life is the hardest, like the way that I get out of it is when I'm helping somebody else, when I'm teaching somebody else. And I'm somebody, and maybe you guys can relate with this, like I struggled with self-esteem my whole life. That's why I'm like super awesome at snowboarding, playing the guitar, skateboarding, body coaching, is because I always tried to fit in. Like I would spend all my time trying to master something, become good at it so I could be accepted, right? And one thing, Joe, that I remember probably the most impactful part of Beachbody was on the top 10 trip with Carl. My love language is words of affirmation. So I like people to say, "You're doing great." And when I feel that, when someone tells me that, I want to work harder. I want to feel that again. So that's why I show up every day, because if I want to feel good, I've found when I serve people, help people say thank you, and then I'm driven to do that more. So I remember going to Carl. We were sitting together in Tuscany, in Italy, after a bike ride, and I wanted to have my moment with the CEO, right? It was like my first time sitting down with him. And I was like, "Carl, I just have to tell you, thank you so much for this opportunity. It has completely saved my life. This process, Beachbody, has saved my life. And the reason is," and I told him the reason. I was like, "The reason is because in my past, I would do unhealthy things to fit in. Drinking, cocaine, whatever it was. I would do unhealthy things to fit in. And now I feel like I have a healthy way to apply all that energy I have of wanting to fit in into this company. And now I feel like I fit in." That's what I told him. And so my love language is words of affirmation. So I want Carl to be like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, we're glad you fit in and we're proud of you. Like, that's what I want, right? And he says, Scottie, that's not it. He didn't even smile. And I was like, oh, shoot. What is it, man? Like, what do you mean? And he said, I think what you're trying to say is, like, if you're trying to fit in, you're always going to look for the next thing that makes you feel good, and you'll jump from one thing to the next, always trying to fit in. And I was like, oh, okay, I understand that. He said, I think what it is, what your message, what you need to deliver to people is that if this is a company where you get to be yourself and empower other people to be themselves, and that's all you got to be, is just be yourself. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So, Joe, I went off on that a little bit, but knowing that, like, your purpose and who you are and why you do this is what keeps me consistent through all those hard times.
Perfect. Well, I think sometimes too, a lot of these people on this call are just starting, and one of the coaches just posted up in the comments, like, how did you hit Success Club your first time? And I don't necessarily think that you have to bring it down to that first time, but what are the things you tell your coaches on hitting Success Club? How do you help them hit Success Club?
Like, so I'm working with my new coaches right now, and like the whole, like, I got in a bad habit, not a bad habit, like, I love to teach what I'm learning, right? So I'm like, oh, I got to teach the coaches. And I get on and I just would teach, right? And so, I'm listening more to what they're needing. And most coaches are not hitting Success Club because they're not actually inviting people to join them. They're not actually talking. They may be talking to people, but they're never making an invite to them. So what I'm teaching my coaches is, obviously I have them read the book called Go for No, if you haven't read that book. But like, if I could show you my Coach Basics group right now, there's like 20 people like excited with exclamation points and smiley faces saying that they got rejected by 20 people. Does that make sense? So yeah. I'm helping them understand that like, it's all about, like, in the beginning, we all are not very good at this. It takes some time and adjusting your approach. But like, even I know, I was just on a call with some coaches pushing for Diamond. Like, I invited 150 people with a small little script. I individualized the first sentence, and then I sent a script. It was this simple. Hey, I know that, I'm super passionate about health and fitness and reading good books and how it's completely changed my life. I just realized that I've never actually asked you if you wanted to learn how it works. Like, you like my posts sometimes, I see you comment on, but I've never actually asked you if you know how that works or what I do. If I invited you into our Coach Sneak Peek, which is just a private group where we share some videos on how coaching works for 5 days, would you come in and watch the videos 10 minutes a day with no obligations? Right? So I sent that to 150 people, and I found, Joe, that I got 18 people in the group. So it's just a little better than 1 in 10, right? So what I'm teaching them is these new coaches is you got to know that that's going to happen. Like, even I'm 5 years later getting 9 people saying, no, I'm not interested, or ignoring me. And so I tell them that you guys need to figure out what your number is. Like, go out and invite 50 people to our Coach Sneak Peek group or to watch a coach webinar, and find out how many people say yes. And then after that, find out how many of those yeses, like if I have 18, how many of those actually become a coach. And then I know my number for Success Club, the average of what I need to do. So then next month I know that if I want to have Success Club 10 again, I've got to talk to invite the 150 people, get 15 to 20 of them into a Coach Sneak Peek group, and then have 5 of them join. 5 of those 15 join now, and then the rest of them are seeds planted for the next time. So just helping them understand that process.
Good. I think that's perfect. There's definitely a formula behind all of this. You know what I mean? As you go forward, you kind of need to know where you're at and what it's going to take to get to Success Club. And Success Club 10, over 60, how many months? 60
right now.
60. Holy smokes, man. 5 years, dude.
5 years straight.
That's a lot of work. That really shows the consistency you really put into that. Yes. So another question that I have here is just how do you pick a platform on social media? Like, how do you know what platform is going to work best for you? You're one of these coaches that has really done an amazing job on YouTube, right? How would you, when you have a new coach coming in, how do you recommend which platforms for them to pick?
I tell them all to make, I'm not good at Instagram at all. I'm barely learning Snapchat a little bit. But the ones I use are Facebook, a blog, and YouTube. Those are my three. But I've done them all. Like I have a like page. I have an Instagram. But what I did is I tried them all with the same type of content, and whichever one started to gain traction, then I left the other one, the focus on the other ones, and started putting all the focus into the one that worked. Right. So what I would do is find try a few of them, like 4 of them. You don't have to create content for each one. Try them, for 3 months, 6 months. Find which one you start to get traction with, or you find easiest to connect with people, and then I would say master that one, or master 1 or 2 of them. So, and I always tell people, like, you should make videos, whether it's on YouTube or just on your Facebook timeline. Like, it's the first thing I have my coaches do. We do a Zoom chat together, and I teach them how to tell their story, which is, this is how I felt before Beachbody, this is how I feel now, and this is why I'm a coach. And I have them make a video and upload it directly to their Facebook page. And I call it for them opening their business. And I tell them, if you don't get that stuff out there, it's like owning a Subway franchise, and you leave the boards windowed up, or the windows boarded up.
Hang on 1 second, Scottie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who's unmuted here, and from my participants, it looks like everyone's muted. If you're not muted, guys, can you mute your audio for me, please? That'd be great. Just keeps
a little bit ruffled.
Background noise, yeah. All right. Okay, go ahead. So Subway boarded up the windows.
Yeah, I tell them it's like, if you don't get your story out there, like why you're doing this, who you are, what you want to help people with. It's like owning a friend. Like, it's like investing $50,000 into a Subway franchise, and you never open the door, turn on the sign, or hire any employees, right? So I tell them, you've got to get it out there. Like, don't worry about it, and look at it like, I want you guys to all think about this. I think we don't think about this sometimes, and it's all in the mindset. Like, if you were to go buy a Subway franchise and you open it up, you hire your employees, if you went to your family and said, hey, like, I'm sick and tired of my job. I've worked overtime shifts for the past 10 years. I'm going to create something for me and my family so that my kids can know who I am. I would love it if you could come to my Subway that's opening up on Saturday and enjoy a lunch with us and share and tell your friends about it, right? It's the same thing with the Beachbody business. Like, tell people why you're doing it, what you're doing it for, and let them know that it's, what it is you're exactly doing. And I think that's going to help people, a new coach, start to get into Success Club a little faster from the beginning, is being more open about sharing what you're doing.
I love it. So here's another question that we got from somebody in the chat. They're sharing the story, but sometimes they feel like they're salesy, and they don't like feeling salesy. What would your advice be to that coach?
So realize that we're all in sales, first of all. Like, if you go into a call or a post and be like, oh man, this is going to sound salesy. Like, it's going to sound salesy because that's what you're thinking about and focusing on. So think of it as a different way. Like, how could I influence somebody or help them understand how this can help them, versus how could I sell them a challenge pack or recruit a coach? Like, change that shift in your mind. The way to not sound salesy is, did you guys take note when I was sharing my story, when I asked you guys, have you guys ever felt like the world was spinning around you? You had this weight on your shoulders. You remember that part? How many of you guys thought back in your life to a point that you felt like that, or even current? Raise your hand if you felt that when I said that. So when you're writing your posts, or you're talking to someone, or you invite someone over, you go to coffee with them and you're talking about it, don't go in with, how am I going to sell this challenge pack? Am I going to present this the right way? Am I going to have all the answers? Go in there with the goal of, like, even a mindset like, okay, I wonder what our relationship's going to be like 5 years from now from this coffee date that we have, right? And then you don't go in thinking about a sale. You go in and you genuinely are working on getting to know that person and finding out what they need. A specific example was one of my best friends. I remember taking him, probably shouldn't have took him there, but we took him for a breakfast burrito on his lunch break to talk about Beachbody, one of those big ones. And I remember him telling me like he really wanted to try this Beachbody thing. He'd been watching it for a long time. He told me a no a lot of times. And he said, man, but I just, we went through the price, he was like, I want to do it. I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to start. We're going to get you hooked up with a challenge pack. I'm going to have you do the 21-day fix extreme. And it was on sale that month for $140. I was like, super awesome. It's on sale for $140 this month versus $160. So that's a bonus. And then we're going to go through this, right? I just kind of explained it. He's like, man, I wish I could, but I just can't spend, like, I don't have $140, man. And so what I said to him right there, this is how you do it, and not sound salesy, right? So I said, dude, Garrett, I know how you feel, man. When I wanted to become a coach, like you do right now, that was exactly what I was feeling. And that's why it took me partially 8 months, is I was afraid to tap into our already small budget when we're trying to pay our mortgage. I was afraid of, all those things financially. Like, is my wife going to be mad that I spent this $140 here when the kids need to, I need to pay for registration for school? Like, I know exactly how you feel. And what I knew is the day that came that I knew that I want to be a coach like you feel right now is I just made a decision that I was going to figure out how to do it. And so what I did is I just went and I started getting on Craigslist, and I started buying and selling Xboxes and Wiis and PlayStations until I got enough money to sign up. So I understand, man, and this is exactly how I feel. So if you're serious about this, I think, there's ways. When you're serious enough, there's going to be a way for you to do that. And then I went on to say this. I said, Garrett, you are like the best auto mechanic that I know. You've been doing it for 10 years. If my car breaks down or my friend does, I'm going to send them to you. You're that guy. You're a great father to Maddie. You're a great husband to Jamie. You're a hard worker. And I was like, and I was like that, we're like that. That's how I was too. But don't you think, how does it make you feel, is what I said. How does it make you feel to know that after 10 years of being one of the best employees and hardest workers, that you can't spend $140 on something that you really want to do? How does that feel? He said, it sucks. And he teared up. He said, it sucks. And I said, I know. Like, I was there. It does suck. It does suck. And I used to wonder how I'd ever get out of that. And Garrett, I feel this is your answer. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be super hard. You have to learn a lot. You have to grow a lot. You have to get on Facebook and start using Facebook and, be willing to learn from me. But, I know that, this was the answer for me, and I feel that it can be the answer for you as well. You already love how you're feeling with the 21-day fix. So I say, why not go for it? And then I asked the next hard question. I said, if you don't do this, do you see that your life is going to be any different in the next 10 years than it has been in the past 10? He said, no, I don't see any different. And I was like, then this is the time that you have to figure this out and start. So that is how you not feel salesy. So you got to do that with everybody. And first you got to relate your struggle with them, but you have to figure out theirs. And that takes asking a ton of questions.
And I feel like one of the amazing things there too, Scottie, is that you were a product of the product. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to be genuine, like you said, if you hadn't gone through that eye of the needle yourself. Yeah. Like, everybody has to go through crappy times sometimes, you know what I mean? And it does suck. But when people know that you've been through it and they can see you kind of a lighthouse through the stormy waters, you can really help other people. But you can't do that if you're not a product of the product first, So I think that's awesome.
Absolutely not.
Well, good deal. So here's another one that I have for you as far as YouTube is concerned. How do you manage your channel as far as inspiring people from the outside versus inspiring your team or coming up with training and things like that? How do you manage your page?
Yeah. So, so one thing is, like, it's all about decisions, right? Like, after the first few people were like, oh my gosh, your video really helped me. And the first one that was really like that was like my 50th, it took me a while. And it was like showing the 10 things I do every day for my business. And people are like, wow, this is exactly what I was looking for. And so I was like, wow, and that's the point where you're like, you realize, right? Oh, wow, I can add value to somebody. Like, and me, words of affirmation, I'm like, I should do that more. And so I began to do that more. I did a team call recently, and it's on my YouTube channel, where I showed people what my messages look like. Like, my follow-up list is right here. This is one day's worth of follow-ups that I did this morning, of invites to the sneak peek. And every single one of those people got a 2-3 minute YouTube video from me. So what I do, not just for my coaches, but anybody that I'm talking to, like, cause this is private message, I want them to hear my voice. Like, I can't get on the phone with 30 people in a day, but I can let them hear my voice, and sharing something with them. Like you were sharing, Joe, like a little bit, a light, right? A light of hope. So in my videos, I always think, and this is going to sound, for brand new coaches, is going to sound a little off, I think. But I think it's important. Like when I was having that conversation with Garrett, when I recruited my friend Garrett, right? Did I make him feel good at that lunch meeting, or did I make him feel bad? I made him feel bad. Like I made him feel not bad. I made him feel pain. So although my videos are I try to uplift people, in the beginning, I try to help them feel some pain first, and then I give them the answer, right? So that's how I, inspire my team or inspire my customers, is I'm always trying to create a little bit of pain in some aspect, and then give them the answer, the solution on how to get out of that. And then, I send it privately to all of my challengers or my customers. I put it in my challenge group. I put them in my team page. So that way I can get my voice more out to them like that. But I make them feel like that. Like in my video, I'll say, hey, you might be sitting in your cubicle right now, and you may have gotten there at 4:00 in the morning. I know how that feels. And I'll be outside, or I'll have my kids crawling around me, right? Because I want them to see my kids with me while they're sitting in the cubicle, so I can help them understand that I was where they're at and I have a solution. So in the videos, like I'm doing it like that, because to try to create that connection with them, to where, and I guess that could be my brand, right? My brand is connecting with people that are overworked and underappreciated and not fulfilled at their job. So that's who I'm trying to connect with, whether it's a mom at work not seeing her kids, or whether it's a dad that's working in the oil fields or in the military or something that has missed too much time with their kids. Like 1 out of 5 of my videos, Joe, I say, like, I want to say this in the most humble way possible, but I believe in the past 3.5 years, I've had more time with my 5 kids than most parents get in 18 years of life. And then I'll teach them something about what I read in the book, right? But I say that first thing because I want them to think about their life and how much time they spend with their kids. If they're that guy that works a lot. So, Joe, that's my long answer to your short question about.
No, that's good. I think that reaches out to a lot of people. And in fact, I have one more question before we close things up.
Yeah.
And it does relate to kids. Somebody on the chat asked, how do you balance your family life with your kids, and business? Okay, there's a couple parts. It requires a ton of sacrifice, but also communication. Sacrifice plus communication. So my wife's love language is quality time. So she needs to spend quality time with me, not when I'm working or working out or sitting next to her on the computer on my phone. She needs quality time. I don't need that. I just need her to say, like, you're doing awesome for the family. You're looking ripped. I'm like, yeah, I'm loved, right? And she just needs me to sit there and hold her hand or rub her back or head or whatever, right? And watch a show with her. So I'm already working 5 to 5 and she's working 3 to 11. So when I start my Beachbody business, I have 3 little kids. So I pick the 3 kids up from the neighbors at 5 because she dropped them off there. I got to feed them. I got to play with them. I got to bathe them. I got to get all that stuff ready for school the next day, get them in bed, and then I have to work. So I sit down to work from 8 to 11 at the beginning, solid work on specifically the 3 vital behaviors. Like no scrolling Facebook, no watching what everybody else is doing, only, I almost spoke Spanish, only focused on what I'm doing and the connections that I need to make to build our team. So what it took was also, on my wife's 2 days off, letting her understand that, hey, I know you have work off today. I will be 100% unplugged from my business from when I get home from work at 5 till 9. We'll put the big kids to bed at 8. 8 to 9 is our time, and then 9 o'clock I go to the office. And the reason I'm doing it is because I will be able to bring you home from work and we can spend every day together. But it's going to take me some time, and I need that support. And so it was having that open communication of what I was doing. And then it was a lot of work to master that, because I would go watch a movie with her, and it was so tempting to have my phone down by my side. You guys have done it where you're like checking notifications or checking into your group thinking that you're like rubbing their head and you're over here, right?
So it took mastering that. But I can tell you that's going to serve you well to master that, being like 100% present when you're with your kids and family, 100% present when you're with your business. Like we will listen to a lot of Eric Thomas. So like if she comes in right now, we'd totally do a joke, and I would turn to her and give her Eric Thomas voice. I'd say, "I'm working," because it's our fun little joke, right? So we had to have that open communication, and then be very disciplined in my work when I did it. And like I said, with the kids, a lot of people use kids as your excuse. It should be your reason, right? And it took me having conversations with my little 5-year-old and 3-year-old at the time to just saying, hey, daddy's working, like on a Saturday, right, in the morning. If I would work from 8 to noon on my business and then I'd have the rest of the day off, I'd say, daddy's working right now so that mommy doesn't have to go to work at night. Because they knew that we drove to see her and we'd run into the Hilton Garden Inn where she worked. We'd grab a cookie, we'd say hi, and we'd get out of there before her manager saw us and got her in trouble. So they knew that that's what life was like. So it was just communicating with my daughters as well. Daddy's working right now so that mommy doesn't have to go to work anymore. So just having that open communication so they understand. And then also you got to remember, though, you got to hold both sides of it. You can't let your Beachbody work take over your family. You can have all the success in the world, but if your family's not together, when you get there, it's not really success. So just being balanced, communicate, and then get focused. Avoid distractions and get focused on your activity. And your activity as a coach, like get rid of all the fluff. Just do massive amounts of personal development. Meet as many people as you can. Find out about them. Find out what you're in common with, and help them understand that you have a solution. That's it. If I spend 6 hours a day, I got like 5 hours of that and 1 hour of leading the team. So just get focused on that activity. So many people are so focused on, you're overthinking it, right?
Yep.
So it's just do your work, crush your workout, drink your Shakeology, if your business is struggling, it means your mind is, it's not your business that's struggling, the business is working. It's your mind that's not working right. So if your business isn't working, do more personal development.
I love it. So one thing I want you guys to really, take to heart too from what Scottie shared with us today is, it does take some serious commitment and perseverance to get through the tough times, right? And as you guys put those, Beachbody and all of that stuff into your daily routine, make sure, like Scottie said, that you are staying laser focused. And one thing that Scottie even shared with me before that really stuck out to me is he said that he has a specific time when he does his follow-ups. You know what I mean? I remember you talking to me, Scottie, and saying, if I just respond to everybody as they talk to me, then I just never get my power hour done, or I'd never get, focused. So, that's really something that stuck with me, because when you reach out to people, you're doing your power hour and all that stuff, you'll get people that'll reach out to you. And then if you get distracted, you don't get that. You don't get done with that, so yeah. That's a good tip. I guess lastly, just to kind of close things up, Scottie, for people who are just starting, who are looking at this opportunity and they're like, okay, I want to make this happen. How can I make this work for me? What would be your advice for those people?
This is a hard one and an easy one, because it goes back to one of the first things I said. I'm going to say, and that's all we deal with is people. So it can be hard, but it's easy in the fact of, I got to figure out how to word this the best way. So here's how I'm going to word it. So it's so easy to blow somebody away in a positive way. And I'm going to tell you why. Because nobody, like I said at the beginning, not many people stay true to their commitments. You see people drop out of school, they get a job and they get offended and they quit. They, or they don't like somebody, so they move departments, they move careers, all based on silly little things like that. And so, if you truly want to make a difference and build this business from the beginning, and something I was told is be actively engaged in the process. 1 year from now, 100%, reading, reaching out to new people, inviting new people, and being that person that stays true to your commitment, because that's going to blow people away. Because it's almost like they're expecting you to quit, because they've seen so many people start and stop things that when you don't, they're like, holy crap, she's serious about this. Like, I'm going to hop on board. They're going to do something with it. And like, I can literally tell you that's the way that we've become successful. Is I can tell you, like, I can look at myself in the mirror and I can tell you guys, I doubt there's another male coach in this company that showed up for 5 years every day in a row. And that's the only reason. It's not because of my skills by any means. I mean, I've read a ton of books, over 400 books in the past 5 years, but it's because I've been the one that always shows up. Like, we all got the sick poo, throw up stuff in the house right now. There's 7 of us, and I'm here on this call today. So it's being that person that always shows up. And so I think that's one of the most important things. So actively engage in the process for the entire year. And it's got to be longer than that entire year. But I'm gonna leave you guys with 5 questions to ask yourself. And they're the ones I ask myself every night. So the first one is, what is your reason? Because you guys are you're gonna have to hold yourself accountable to this business. Like, you guys have awesome upline support. You have cross-line coaches that are giving all of their tips to you. So you have all the training and resources in the world. So what's going to make you show up and be resourceful and use it and apply it to yourself? And the first one is to hold yourself accountable with these questions. Number 1, what is your reason or your why? My original one was that I was going to bring my wife home. That was it. It was decided. It was not, I'm going to try, I'm going to. And now it's like, I've retired both of my parents, and my mom's my assistant. My dad helps watch the kids. He's watching them at 3 when we go on a date, from 3 to 6. Like, we've done that. Like, my parents are counting on me. They're part of the reason, right? Every single customer and coach I've ever started and gave hope to, they're counting on me. So those are my reasons, right? So, and I'm never sending my kids back to daycare or my grandkids. So I'm going to show up. So that's my reason and my why. Number 2 is, what is your IQ level? And that's a trick question. It means I quit. At what level do you quit deciding that your family is important to you and getting out of that poisonous job is no longer an important part of your life, right? So it's a trick question. At what level do you quit? So I can tell you guys, I don't have an I quit level. And this may sound silly, but our team has grown to, obviously through other leaders in our team, but to over 43,000 coaches. If it went back to 0, I would still show up and make my freaking video, do my workout, do my personal development, and invite somebody to join my team, and I'd go emerald again. And I'd start this thing from scratch. Because I don't have an I quit level. I'm going to I'll always keep trying. So number 3, who do I need to associate with today to grow? So it's going to get hard. You're going to have some hard times. You're going to have people around you telling you this is not possible for you. What do you think you're doing, wasting your time with that? That doesn't work. Or I tried something like that before. It doesn't work. So you need to surround yourself with people that are doing it, that are going to challenge you to grow. You're going to need that. I even need it today. So that's your next question. And then the last one that I want you guys to do. Actually, I'm going to leave you with just those 3 right now. Okay. What is my reason? What is your I quit level? Who do I need to associate with today to grow? So, Joe, that's what I got for you, man.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for joining the call, Scottie. Definitely awesome. Appreciate you guys. Everybody, I'm going to post this up on the Champions page. I'd recommend you share it with your team. Scottie, again, thanks for presenting for us today, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, see you guys later.
Bye.